from the 10 and a draw to Smith. And he's in. What a run. Oh, my.
It's been over 25 years since Troy Aikman absolutely carved up the Buffalo Bills in the Super Bowl and what was their fourth straight appearance, but they lost every single one. Fast forward through a long, painful stretch, and the Bills were just one game away from returning to the Super Bowl last season. Josh Allen has helped Buffalo turn into a scary team and is expected to be one of the best in the league. But the Pittsburgh Steelers showcased some of the Bills' glaring holes in Week 1. There are plenty of concerns still surrounding Buffalo, but before we dive in, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Also, smack that like button so YouTube actually pushes out this video.
But first, this video is brought to you by DraftKings. If you're like me and you're looking for somewhere to bet on your favorite team this NFL season, go check out DraftKings Sportsbook, where they have player props, live betting, and same-game parlays, and more. Right now, DraftKings is giving new players a bonus of up to $1,000 for their first deposit. DraftKings, America's top-rated sportsbook, is safe, secure, and reliable, and you can withdraw your money at any time for your convenience. If the sportsbook isn't available in your state, don't forget about DraftKings Fantasy, where they're offering millions of dollars in prizes every week. Every year, I like to make a bet on who I think is going to win the Super Bowl at the end of the year, and this year, I've already made mine, locking in the Kansas City Chiefs to take home their second title in 3 years. To start playing DraftKings today, go ahead and hit that link down in the description and use our code JDPROD when signing up.
The Steelers started off really slow and looked like they just weren't on the same page. But after going into the half down 10-0, they started to expose the Bills. Buffalo ended up being incredibly bad in the clutch in the loss. It had 4 trips to the red zone and only punched it in once. Not to mention, the Bills took a handful of back-breaking penalties that stalled drives and led to Steeler points. The biggest glaring issue was the Bills' offense, or really lack thereof. Zach Moss ended up being a shocking healthy scratch, and boy did the ground attack ever struggle without him. The Bills didn't even try to establish a run game in the majority of this game, and by the time they did, they were already down 2 scores. Even if Buffalo can't run the ball, they're still supposed to have a lethal air attack behind the arm of Josh Allen, but he looked rattled for much of the game on Sunday. Now, to their credit, the Steelers had consistent pressure and sacked Allen 3 times, 2 of which were TJ Watt. Everyone expected the Bills to be dominant this season, but while Buffalo certainly got hyped up hard, Pittsburgh managed to completely fly under the radar. This is a Steelers team that started last season 11-0, and they still have Ben Roethlisberger and Juju Smith-Schuster.
Corvette.
We often fall into recency bias, and that's exactly what happened with the Bills. They were hot to end 2020, and the Steelers most definitely were not. But this isn't 2020, it's a brand new season. The game was essentially a huge blown opportunity for the Bills. They led 10-6 in the fourth and decided to go for it on 4th and 1, where Matt Breida lost 7 yards, and then Pittsburgh took the lead a few plays later. Things really fell apart soon after, when the Steelers blocked a punt and recovered it for a touchdown to take a 10-point lead. Now, first and foremost, I want to start this off by saying I really thought and expected that Buffalo would run away with this game, but clearly I was really wrong about that. Also, I want to emphasize that this game wasn't impressive offensively at all by either one of these squads. Pittsburgh just overall executed things better, and ultimately, they adjusted better coming out of the half than Buffalo did. Buffalo didn't come out of the gate looking terrible, but looking back at the overall game, they just looked sloppy and overall really rusty. It wasn't a good showing to start the year for Buffalo, but does it really warrant any concern? Well, the good news for Josh Allen is that he won't have to see a defensive front better than the Steelers. Short of the Rams, Browns, and Washington, no one else can truly compete with Pittsburgh. You always hear that football games are won in the trenches, and that's exactly what the Steelers did. A huge worry that's followed Buffalo all season is that guard play with John Feliciano and Cody Ford, and Sunday sure as hell wasn't a good start. If the Bills were to have a real run game, perhaps the Steelers would have actually had to game plan differently, but the Bills are going to pass a ton. That's just their team identity at this point. I think people need to relax though.
Relax.
It was only week 1. wacky things happen to start the year. People aren't prepared and have to get back into the groove of things sometimes. Last season, the Jaguars beat the Colts, and they literally haven't won a game since. The Bills are still a damn good team, and players tend to regress back a little once opposing defenses can take a full offseason to figure them out. Look at Lamar Jackson, for example, who slowed down quite a bit after winning MVP. It's entirely possible that Josh Allen could slow down after a near MVP caliber season, but it's going to come down to if he can truly adjust. The Steelers used a pass rush and good coverage to force him to make short throws, and the Bills lost. Teams completely changed the way they were playing against Patrick Mahomes after his MVP year, but he came back and found new ways to beat the defense. You were thinking about double covering Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce? Well, Mahomes is just going to beat you with Mecole Hardman in light coverage. The question is going to be whether or not Allen can do the same thing, but he definitely has the talent around him to do so. Stephon Diggs is one of, if not the best wide receiver in the NFL. Now that might be a stretch, but I truly believe he's great. From the slot, Cole Beasley has quietly been one of the most underrated players in the entire league. The real problem comes with the depth after those guys. Emmanuel Sanders isn't the player he used to be, and past Diggs, the outside receivers aren't really that great. And honestly, Dawson Knox at tight end isn't overly reliable. But the biggest problem is something I feel like we talk about a lot on this channel: the offensive line. Zach Moss and Devin Singletary aren't going to be able to carry a bad offensive line if the guards can't figure it out. Buffalo has some true stars, but the pieces around those guys are really sus and could cause plenty of concern. The Bills are going to figure things out the same way the Ravens did in 2020. Buffalo is far too talented not to succeed on the field. They have the clear leg up in the AFC East, and it would be quite the shock if they lost. The Jets are still, well, the Jets. And while Zach Wilson is a bright spot on that roster, I think it's safe to say that the rest of it, not so much. The Patriots have a new gunslinger in Mac Jones, but he's a rookie that's going to take time to adjust. And while they could be great in the future, now's really not their time. It's probably going to take some time. The Bills' biggest threat is easily the Dolphins, and we'll get our first taste of that showdown on Sunday. I can't begin to articulate just how concerning Josh Allen looked to me. In contrast to last year and the superstar quarterback that we saw that could scramble for yards and make these crazy throws downfield, Josh Allen looked swamped by this Pittsburgh defense. It seems like after a few attempts to get the ball moving downfield with big passes that were broken up by the Pittsburgh defense, Josh Allen just started playing extremely sloppy once they had to bring the pass game a little bit closer to the line of scrimmage. Also, if you watch the game, there were multiple points where Josh Allen just completely missed reads. And if you can't go through all of your reads and make sure that you're seeing the guys that are open, you can just say goodbye to your first downs when your go-to guy is locked up. But I'm not overly concerned because I genuinely do believe in Josh Allen to kind of be able to turn it around. And I would say I feel the exact same for like Aaron Rodgers for this past Sunday. It's week 1 and a couple players are rusty, and it's really evident here. I believe that the Bills have a roster to be able to compete and especially win this division. But their success is really going to be dependent on how fast they can bounce back and if they can go and beat Miami this upcoming Sunday and make it run at winning the AFC East. As a Patriots fan myself, I've been looking over my shoulder at Buffalo for a couple years at this point, and finally it's their time to shine. So let's see what they can do with it. The Bills have had a long road of disappointment and frustration, but the tide has turned under Josh Allen. The season may have not started the way they'd hoped for, but it's only week 1 after all. Hey guys, thanks for watching the video and sticking to the end. Click here on the right side of the screen to subscribe to the channel, and if you don't want to or already do because you're freaking awesome, click right here on the left side to watch another video. Also, check us out on all social media forums, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter, because we're going to be continuing the conversation over on there, and it's football season, so let's all get in on the conversation together. Again, thank you for sticking to the end of the video, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.